Hello, my name is Janice Cabrera, and for my final paper, I decided to write about the bubonic plague. For those of you who don't know, it is a disease that is spread through fleas who have fed off of rodents who have been infected with the bacteria Yersinia pestis. Most of these small rodents that have been infected can be found in Africa, Asia, and the United States. Although it can be cured now with antibiotics, most people back in the time when there were no antibiotics yet were dying because, again, there was no cure. So up to 25,000 people in Europe died alone from the plague. This was mostly because back then there were no sewage systems, so people would literally get their chamber pots, throw them out the window, and the people getting infected were the people who had to clean. So it was all the poor people who were doing all the hard labor jobs. And obviously they would spread it to their families, and those families would spread it to, their friends, the people that they saw at the markets, all that type of stuff. And this actually led to the spread of it led to ideas of having isolation and quarantines, which came from the idea of isolating lepers. So they leached off that idea and used this quarantine to quarantine people who have been infected with the bubonic plague. And they would have to stay home. They could not leave unless it was absolutely known that they were no longer infected, which unfortunately most of these people ended up dying because they didn't have a treatment back then. So once they died, they would be handed out through their own windows and were taken out of the city, burned and buried, and then their belongings at their houses would be burned as well. Since there were no cures, physicians would literally experiment with different things. They tried potions, they tried bloodletting, they tried different pastes, and unfortunately, most of them didn't work. But this did allow them to write down the symptoms, so if they came across someone else, they could maybe try something that did work on them, which did lead to, writing down information, which eventually led to book publishings to be spread around through different physicians, which, nowadays is extremely useful because we can see the history of where something started and where it ended. However, in the 1800s, although the spread of the plague did decrease, more and more research was being done in order to control different epidemics, different diseases, which I thought was really cool. There was a ruler in Egypt named Mehemet Ali, and he actually decided to set up a sanitary board. He got people from all over Europe to come and try and discuss different ways to create just sanitary environments, more personal hygiene. And while being people from all over Europe, most of they could not just agree on a lot of things. So there was a lot of confrontation, and it didn't last very long, but it did allow the idea of studying bacteria to become a thing. So we had a botanist and a country practitioner studying bacteria, which in turn led to the idea of vaccines. Now, for those of you who have vaccines, know that they do help you in the long run because they put that bacteria in you, which leads your body to come up with a way of fighting it. So nowadays we use vaccines whenever we're traveling out of the country or foreign countries, whenever we're going to a new school, whenever, just whenever you want to try and be safe and hopefully not get sick. But when I think about the plague, although I know now that there are cures, I can't even imagine how scary it would have been back in the days not knowing what it was or how to cure it. But I think we've come a long way, and I hope that even in foreign countries where people are still getting sick, that they are able to eventually get that help, whether it be from us or by some other health organization.